Calling all beings. Calling all beings.
Can I get a amen for everybody in this joint? Because we got a real one for you tonight. We're not playing any kind of games. Welcome back to Calling All Beings. I'm your host, TJ, along with my illustrious co-host,
Boston Via.
That's what I'm talking about. We're talking
2
about
days in a row,
Massachusetts' answer to Helen of Troy. What was you trying to say?
I was just going to say 2 days in a row we're at this.
That's right. We don't normally do two. You know what? We got some people to say hi to, so let's get it started. Lisa Oakes, what is up, homegirl? Thank you for coming back. Are you from Franklin? Make sure we gotta get that right. This right here is our mod. Who's that? What do we call her?
Miss Jessica Nbeezy.
That's right, Nbeezy and the Heezy. This is our newest member, the cat lady. Good evening. I like that too. It doesn't bother my lactose intolerance whatsoever. Too much information. Julie is here. Welcome back, Jules. Tornadoes are not a thing for Julia. For Julie. Sorry, Julia. I'm thinking about my dog, Julia. We got your homie, Lulu Bell. Have a great show. And the LV Cops. I know Brian is like handsome, buff. I mean, he's everything I want to be, essentially. All right, let's get the damn thing going, man. Let's bring him in from backstage. So this gentleman, we're not going to talk about what he's doing now, but he is a broadcaster, a researcher of this Karen Reed case. He is a retired from the Las Vegas PD. He came to the Karen Reed Gala, made some FaceTime, met all the players, and have brought a significant presence to this movement from law enforcement that exists outside of Massachusetts. He holds them accountable. Hello, Valhalla. Hello, Kimberly McGuire. And so it's super important. I love seeing those photos of these guys at that gala, interacting with all the Free Karen Reed folks. And I'm sure it gives Karen a lot of comfort as well. In fact, we'll ask Brian what types of things Karen said to him, but to see a law enforcement officer, somebody who's doing it right, we gonna get into the damn thing tonight. So party people, don't play no games. Take the Cheeto dust off your fingers, because while you eating Cheetos, this man's in the gym working out and getting in this damn wind sprint. So party people, put your hands together. From my man from Las Vegas Cops, put them together for Bryan. Can anybody give me an amen for Brother Bryan in this joint? What's up, bro, man?
That was a great intro. Made me sound like a superhero or something.
We're not playing around. You are. When you come on this show, you're gonna know that you are loved and respected, or we wouldn't have invited you on. That's how it is.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir. So I know that the opportune place to start this interview, or start, if I'm using Bia's accent, would be
Scott.
She said, why are you guys backing? Talking about her dogs today.
Yeah.
But
why are you backing?
Are you backing?
So
I love the Boston accent.
It's so awesome, man.
So cool.
I love it. I know, because we come from these areas, maybe where accents are kind of homogenized out of the lexicon. I don't know. Bia, should we start with Proctor?
I mean, I think that's the hot topic button.
Let's go. Let's not play any games. So Mike Proctor was finally terminated. How do you see this as influential on perhaps opening statements about what's going to happen in the trial that is upcoming?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's no longer Trooper Proctor. It is now just Mr. Proctor. Mr. Proctor got a taste of some harsh reality, right? So, I was talking with my son about this earlier, and, he threw away an entire career and his legacy, his integrity, and everything over some text messages to some buddies. And it's a reminder that when you're in uniform, right? And no matter what, to me, no matter what you do in this country, I don't care if you're in uniform pushing a broom in a high school,
That's right.
always stay professional, always handle business, always be professional, because you never know who you are talking to. And Proctor learned that the hard way. And, I don't feel bad for the guy, but I feel for him. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying what he did was good by any means, but when you do a long career like that, he was on well over 20 years. I think he's really regretting his life choices.
If I could put you, I want to find a place.
You glitched it for a second, so I couldn't hear exactly what the question was that you asked. Something about
that's
court or something.
There was a pregnant, yes, but I think there's something even more important than that that's even at more of a root level that I would want to ask you. That's more fundamental.
Okay.
If I were to put you in like a pool hall, but there's nobody there except you and he shooting pool. It's kind of like afternoon time. There's a barkeep over there, but you're the only two there.
Mm-hmm.
And you see him, and maybe he sizes up maybe some of the gear you're saying and figures out that you're law enforcement as well. May I ask you what that dialogue would sound like? Can you tell us what you would say to him? Or even if you want to go second person, you can speak it to us, what you would say to him.
So you're saying hypothetical situation, me and Proctor are in a pool hall and it's just the two of us and we're drinking a couple of beers.
Yes, and but you're still Bryon from LV Cops.
Of course. No,
with
I'm me.
all the knowledge that
Yep.
you have.
I think I would start the conversation with, what the fuck, bro? What the fuck were you thinking? I don't even know if I would ask him any questions. I would just hit him with statements. You know what I mean? What were you thinking? Was this a good idea? At what point did you think this was rock solid? And then I would go into the evidence collection, the text, and all that. I would just kind of lay it out there for him to be like, bro, if you really think that all of us cops, good cops, are listen and we're believing what you're shoveling, no. And then honestly, I would ask him, because what do I care? I would say, tell me the truth, man. What really happened that night? The truth deserves to be known. We all deserve to know exactly what happened. The family deserves to know. Karen deserves to know. I want to know exactly what happened. So have some balls, look me in the eyes, and tell me the truth right now. And you know what? I won't tell a soul.
Okay, let me ask you this. So, all right. So,
of course, I'd have camera rolling.
All right, BL. Let me ask you this. What do you think his initial response? Because Bryon's saying WTF, and I'm going to say that because I don't want to get too many cuss words and get demonetized again, like the last episode with Colleen. What do you think his response is going to be to Bryon when he says WTF? Do you think, Bia, that he's going to mention something like, let me think. Do you think he's going to say something like, "Look, they're part of my extended family. Like it's what you do for the Albits"? Like, what do you think his response is going to be, Bia, to Bryon?
I think he's going to say, "I had no choice."
Okay, and Bryon, you're going to say,
"You always have a choice."
But this family runs deep in this town.
It doesn't matter. What if that was your daughter going to jail for the rest of her life? What if that was your daughter? What if that was your wife?
Bia?
Is that acceptable? Sometimes in life, look, it sucks. And sometimes you got to eat a big old slice of humble pie. Sometimes you might even have to do some jail time for it. But again, we all have choices, right? We all have decisions to make in life, and we have consequences, right? So he knows what he did. And I'm sorry, but you got to face the consequences. The
Bia,
truth,
what do you
the
think he's
truth
gonna? I'm sorry.
the
I'm
truth
sorry,
needs to
Brian.
be heard.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean
And
to
it's also
interrupt
what
you.
he didn't do.
So,
That's the whole issue here.
but
Well, that's a whole nother issue.
can we play this out a little more?
Okay.
Bia, what do you think his response is going to be? Because I like how this is going right now.
You like it? Okay.
Yes.
Let me continue. I don't know, man. I had to go with the flow.
No, bro, you stop the flow. You don't just go with the flow. You stop the flow. Because look, even if this family's powerful, eventually what happens to families? They die out. Not everybody can always keep taking control, right? So what happens? You cut the head of the snake off, and then you see what lays beneath, right? And then you slowly just pick apart. But no, you don't just go with the flow. You stop the flow. You stand up like a man. You have some friggin' balls, and you tell them this is what's going to happen because I'm the case agent. I'm in charge. This is what's going to happen. You guys made a choice. I'm going to clean it up.
So, Bia, this person right here, they're going to say to Proctor, they're postulating that Bryan would say, okay, O'Keefe is a fellow Leo. How can you let him go out like that? What would Proctor say to that?
I think, hey, I'm not the one that killed him.
That's a good one. That's a good one, right, Bryan?
Yeah. Then who did?
I don't know, man.
You do know, and you just don't want to say it. So I get it. You don't want to say it because the words are like bullets. Once they come out of your mouth, you can't take them back. So you know who did it, and you don't want to say who did it. But you need to let people know the truth, and you need to do it soon because you can't lay your head down at night and face God knowing that you put an innocent woman behind bars for the rest of her life. And we, us citizens, will make sure your life is absolutely horrible if you're going to let an innocent woman sit behind bars forever.
I just had
Well,
to get
she's
that.
just a whack job. Just kidding.
No, you were still going. You're still going with it. Okay, so we have a retired Leo in the chat here. I don't know if you're familiar. NC SHP. I don't know if that's North Carolina, but if you want to let us know where you if you care to let us know where you were, it looks like possibly a sheriff or sheriff's deputy. So Proctor isn't going to sit back and maybe you should do it in your Massachusetts accent, Bia. Proctor isn't going to sit
All right,
back.
hold on before I get yelled at so I don't squint. Proctor isn't going to sit back, get fired, and let his supervisors keep their job. Wait and see. What a difference the glasses makes, huh?
I know. I need I have glasses. I just never wear them on camera. But yeah, I know I'm always squinting. My eyes are getting worse.
Dude, we're all three of us. Okay, I need them as well. So
I'm in denial. Okay.
no, it's all good, Bia.
I really hope. I hope he does. I hope he does. I hope he spills the beans. It only takes one person, right? If you squeeze the right person, right, they'll talk. And if you squeeze them good enough, he'll say the right stuff. And I'm hoping Proctor, he's the first one to take the fall. I'm really hoping they squeeze him and he just says, you know what? Like everything that I just said, I really hope he comes to a Jesus moment and says, you know what? No, F the Alberts, F these people. I'm a cop. I have my own brain. I'm a grown ass man. I can make decisions for myself, and I'm not going to stand for this. That's what I hope he does. We'll
But
see.
what do you think about the fact that they already did an IA investigation on Tully and he got rehomed? That's what they're calling it around here. And then with Buchanan, he got 5-day suspension. So they're not going to reopen what they already looked into and already gave him like a punishment for. So those two are safe.
They're safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
A 5-day suspension is a major suspension, which in
Right.
the police world, a major suspension is the highest you can get. You know, and that sucks. And you can't test or do anything for 5 years. So he's kind of stuck. The other guy, they moved. Yeah, but they're not. They're not going to get double dinged. No, IA got him once. And then that case is closed. So yes, they are protected from the Karen Reed stuff. Yes, Proctor was not though.
Right.
So this is right here. You're seeing Bryan. This is the official attorney of Calling All Beings. Val is a retired attorney from Massachusetts, and she says, "Let me do the. I think it's time to bring out the John F. Kennedy accent. I don't know. Proctor knows better than anyone that bad things happen to people who are an inconvenience to the Alberts. So that was John F. Kennedy. So that's what she's saying about it. Maybe there could have been a fear factor. I don't know. I don't know how feared Bryon L. I know he was feared in Canton. I don't know if you heard this. They referred to him as the champ, as if like he was the toughest guy in town. I don't know if that extended to Leo's. That would be, or not. I know you're like, what is he going to do to me? Going to beat me up, right?
Well, I mean, that's Canton, right? I live in Vegas, right? I got 10 guys on my street that could kick the shit out of everybody in Canton. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is the fight capital of the world.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I've been training my whole life. So to me, those guys are like bullies, and I don't give a shit how tough he is. I don't give a shit what he does. And I don't give a shit what their family does. I grew up in Philly. You know, I'm East Coaster. So your family wants to come against my family, then hey, guess what? Start some shit, fuck around, find out, see what happens. You want to bring it, and we'll settle up at the end.
It's that kind of courage that we don't have. I want to say that we don't have amongst this cadre of police there, the MSP and the Canton Police, that they don't have someone other than obviously Peter Murphy that has that intestinal fortitude.
Right.
The North Carolina retired North Carolina trooper, if you'd like to call in and speak with Bryon, and if you have thoughts, there's the number. And also, if you would like a StreamYard link to come on camera or off cam, I mean, you don't have to turn your camera on, but we could also get you on the StreamYard if you've got some things you want to discuss with Bryon. I'm sure your opinion would be rather valued. The family should have never made a statement. My late family would never made one if it was me. It didn't help him one bit. Do you understand what he's talking about there? I'll play. Clear it up for me.
Me
Yeah.
or Bryon?
Anybody.
Okay. So the night before, the night before it came out yesterday with Proctor being fired, his sister and his wife came out and gave a statement. So that's what he's referring to. But it was kind of like, I think at this point they must have known and they were just trying to get ahead of it. But they almost didn't make him look as good, right, Bryon? Because why would you put out the statement that he's a great person and he did a great investigation?
And we have Kathy O'Grady here saying, Bia, that
yes,
shirt, you
this
have an
is
amazing
the shirt
taste.
she made. Yes, it's the free Karen Reed shirt she made.
Thank you, Kathy. I heard, it was a great event that you had there, the knitting event. That was awesome. Let's see what else we got here.
To touch on the families,
Yes.
the wife made a statement. That's right, and I read the statement. And look, as an officer, and obviously all my friends are cops, families. I don't agree with going after a cops or people's family. You know what I mean? I stick to the cop.
Yep.
Wife and kids usually have nothing to do with it. Don't condemn them for what the man did. Most of the time the families are innocent. But in this case, I thought it was in a little bit of poor taste. It would have been, me personally, I think it would have been best if they just stayed silent. Silence sometimes is key. You know what I mean? Because now they opened their mouth and she said some stuff that I don't think that America really wanted to hear. I don't think it was really sincere, and it's I don't know if it was because I can't remember all of it, but I don't know if she was trying to make her husband into being more of a victim.
Mm-hmm.
But she has to remember that he brought all of this onto himself. And, he's a grown ass man. And, he's got to face the consequences. So I thought it would have been better if they just would have stayed quiet.
I think that's exactly what they were trying to do. They do play the victim. If you notice, there's a little bit of a trend here. Jennifer McCabe, Chris Albert. What was that? I don't know if it was Allie McCabe or Caitlin Albert. I all these idiots. I can't even keep them all straight. And frankly, I don't want to. But there is. They play the victim, and that's their modus operandi here. So I think that's exactly what his family was doing. And I also agree with you that nobody should be. And Sean McDonough said the same thing. Don't mess with his family. If you got something to say about him, say it about him. Don't go to his house and stuff like that. And there are people that see that as crossing a bit of a line.
And to me, that's surprising. Because I mean, being a cop here in Vegas for 22 years, me and all my buddies, bunch of hard hitting dudes, scary dudes. Your family says we've actually had a run in with a family here. Should I say their name? I guess I should. I guess I could say their name. The Slavin crew. We had a family here called the Slavins in Vegas way back in the early 2000s. They used to steal the ATM machines with front end loaders.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then bust it open.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
I got into a pursuit with one of them. They had the machine in the back of the truck, and he actually got away. But they had radios. They were really a well-oiled machine. They were a good crime organization. But again, when that happens, no, I'm going to show up 30, 40 deep on your front yard, and we'll handle business.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think you pointed it out very adroitly that people are scared of this family, are scared of getting beat up by Brian Albert. And it's like, you know, if an ass whooping is the worst that you're going to take for a woman's life, I mean, it really doesn't mean a whole lot, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? I remember when we came back, you know, for the gala, you know, we had to keep it hush hush. And, we were getting all these messages that it was bad for us. And I'm like, what do you mean bad? And they were like, oh, you guys might get hurt. The Alberts might hurt you and stuff. And I was like, I'm a cop. Do you think I'm going to go to another city and be scared to get beat up by cops? I was like, are you out of your effing mind? Like that day will never happen.
Right.
Because if a bunch of cops want to beat me up, then guess what? Bring it on and we'll fight and whatever. Yeah. But I'm not going to be scared of cops. They're the good guys, and I'm a cop. So why would I be scared?
Right.
But they were like, and I was like, well, what are they going to do? They're going to kill me? And they said, one of the ladies goes, no, they won't kill you. They wouldn't dare do that. They might beat you up. And I said, oh,
is that
what you're worried about? A little bit of a bar fight? I was like, I can do a bar fight. That's fine.
Let's do it.
I was worried about getting sniped in the head walking out of the waterfall or something. If you're talking about just a bar fight, that's fine.
They'll throw you in the Charles River.
Well, I'm a good swimmer.
I'm going to tell you what. Yeah, no, I think you pointed it out quite well. And Debbie had a question. Let me get to Debbie Blair's question. I think I started. Where is it? Debbie Blair basically wanted to ask you, and I'll tack on to her question. She wanted to ask you if he can be rehired elsewhere. Okay, that's a no. And does he get his retirement?
Yes.
He does. I was going to say, because if they took that away, then they would.
No.
So this is not that big a deal for him, really. He's going to get probably 50% of his salary. It's not like a big deal.
He has 12 years in.
It's a big deal.
Oh, 12?
It's a big deal because he's going to
20.
he got terminated from a police force, right? From a state trooper. Yeah. So it is a big deal that he got terminated from being a trooper. That's a pretty big deal. That no law enforcement is going to touch him now because of his past, right? So no one's going to touch him. So he's done being a cop. He was probably done anyway. I mean, he's in his late 40s, early 50s, so he's done anyway. He'll go on and be a consultant or something. But as far as his pension, you can't take a man's pension, at least here, like in Vegas, it has to be a crime against PERS. It has to be a crime against the pension, as in like if I commit fraud or something like that, then then PERS can come after me because I committed fraud. But right now I could go and unalive 10 people and I'd be in county jail for the rest of my life, but I would still get my pension. They can't take, because you've earned it, right? They can't take it from you.
Okay. Let me clear something up because the mods are very concerned. Your name is pronounced Bryan. Am I correct? Okay.
It's
mods,
Russian.
His name is not Byron. It's Bryan. So we got that. I cleared that up with producer Steve.
It's a curse. It's a curse. My name is, it's Russian.
Yeah,
I'm half Russian, half Italian. So the Russian way to spell Bryan, which my parents thought would be cool, is Bryon. And everyone calls me Byron my whole life.
Yeah, they're blowing up my phone, telling me I'm calling you the wrong name, and I'm not. So
no, it's okay. Brian. Yeah, because not that Byron's a bad name, but if it was my name, I would change it.
I talked to producer Steve, so we got the name right. So yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now that we got that settled, okay, so we don't, according to Bia, it's not 20 years. He has 12 years in. Is that correct, Bia?
Yes, I saw that. Yep.
12 years. The other thing I think that Bryan doesn't know is that there was a semi-disgraced Boston police officer named Marty Kraft that McDonough may have told you about. He has a PI firm, if you want to call it that, with a couple of other douchebags like Kate Peter. And Brian Albert works there. And we are told that Proctor also works there.
See? Yeah.
So
they're going to take care of each other. Yeah.
Dirt finds dirt. Debbie, what I would say to you about this, I also see why the locals would fear the McAlberts, but what I think we can agree on is John O'Keefe's death was not something that was planned out. That was not something like, we're going to lure this guy into the house and kill him. I don't think that was on anybody's mind when he came into the house that night. So that's why people although obviously these people are capable of committing an act, allowing somebody to die, and then covering it up, I don't think that even Brian Albert would lure somebody into the house, purposely kill them, and then expect to get away with it. I think the circumstances allowed him, and the help of everybody else that we've been talking about for the past 6 months, these sick, morally bereft people. So anyway, yeah, I'm getting texts from other people about Marty Kraft. And by the way, Jason, if you're listening right now, I hear you, and I have spoken to her about that. And I don't know that I want to let Brian know about that, at least on air. Off air, I will. But I just don't want to put anybody in any danger by mentioning that on air. So I'll just leave that where it is.
Can I ask you a question, Brian?
Yes.
Sure.
So we've gotten reports that there's been like a Mass State Police car parked outside his house like for weeks now. Do you think that now that he's been terminated, why would they still be sitting out there just outside of his house? Is it literally to make sure that nobody reporters show up?
Just
But why protect him when he's not a part of them anymore?
It's probably part of the contract. When he left, there's a date that is going to end. 100% guaranteed. There's a date at midnight is going to say we're no longer guarding Proctor. The guys are probably liking it because it's a free night. They can just sit in their car and pretty much hang out all night and do nothing. So it's an easy night. Sometimes it sucks though. I've had those gigs where you got to guard a cop's house, right, all night, and you got to pay attention, right, because you don't want them to die on your watch. That won't look good. But yeah, I think it's just because of the heightened awareness of the case in the country, and how it's crazy how America is so like left or right, or like red or blue, or
Yes.
free Karen or don't free Karen. It's almost like you're either free Karen Reed, and you're not with the cops, which is crazy, or you're with the cops and you're against Karen Reed, which again is crazy. But they're protecting him and his family until a certain date arrives, which will probably be, I'm going to assume, either till after the trial or probably for a week or two after termination.
Yeah, it's not going to be like President Carter, who had protection from 1980 when he left office until now. So
yeah,
when
presidents
he passed,
get they get Secret Service for life.
Right.
Proctor is going to get it for about a week or two, maybe till the end of the trial, maybe if he's lucky, because you got to remember, if he's getting 24-hour coverage, they might have to pull in overtime guys. But we also know Canton, they don't mind paying their guys, $300,000 a year. So, that's not a problem for them.
340 grand a year to be a town cop. Brian's like, sign me up, man.
Are you kidding me? I was making 90,000 a year, 100,000 a year after 20 years on. I was making 100,000 a year with no overtime, just straight pay, 100 grand a year. And that's good. It helped me raise 4 kids because my wife didn't work, right? So it's a good living. I couldn't even imagine getting a check, 340,000 a year. What is that, like 20,000 a month, 30,000 a month?
I've never seen a check like that. I have no idea. I've never made that much money in my life.
Yeah,
so I just don't know.
Me neither. Yeah, I've always been pretty broke. So
Okay,
get used to it.
exactly. I've gotten really good at it over the
Yeah, you
years.
get frugal, man. You get frugal.
Yeah. Our retired highway patrolman or a trooper from North Carolina says his law enforcement certification was probably suspended yesterday.
Yeah, they'll probably pull his post certificate. So like now I'm retired, but I am post one certified. So here in the certain states, I can rehire as a cop and I won't have to do any academy. I won't have to do anything for 5 years. So
Awesome.
they probably pull his certification. So he'll never be a cop again the rest of his life, ever.
Yeah.
As
He
he
can't-
shouldn't be.
Yeah, he can't go to like Mayberry or anything.
No, he can't go anywhere.
So this discipline report, according to Valhalla Law, says he doesn't get a retirement, only what he put in, which sounds like whatever he put into his 401k. So what you're saying is he is not getting a lifetime annuity from the MSP, Val.
That's between him and the trooper, or, whatever contract they signed. I don't know. Any police place that I know, you put in your time. You have to get vested, what they call it. So with Metro, it was over 10 years. Once you're over 10 years, you're vested. You're going to get a pension no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So how it is in Boston, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's probably like he didn't do 20 years and just do a 401k. He's getting something.
No, but he didn't do 20. He did 12.
Oh, he only did 12.
That's what Bia said. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. My bad. I didn't know. Okay, so Proctor only did 12. Yeah, he ain't gonna get much. He ain't gonna get much at all. No, 12 years in Vegas would get you, I want to say probably about $1,500 a month.
And right here, from running on caffeine,
Maybe
who's
less.
also backing up what Val said. He didn't work his 20, so he gets what he put in, nothing more.
Yep.
So,
yeah. So yeah,
wow.
I stand corrected. Yes, running on caffeine. You are 100% correct. My bad. I didn't know we were talking about Proctor. Yeah, 12 years in. Yeah, he ain't getting crap, man. Sorry, Proctor.
And Trooper says no, he would get no pension. He only worked 12 years. He
Yeah.
can withdraw his pension, but he wouldn't get 2 checks each month like I do.
Yeah.
And I get an amen to those
Amen.
2 checks every month. God bless.
Yeah. See, I get 1 check a month. At the beginning of the month, I get my check, and it's a big check, and it's nice, and I get that for the rest of my life. And when I die, my wife gets that for the rest of her life. That's
really
like
awesome.
That's one of the reasons I came to Vegas. Like they take care of us. They take care of us. Yeah. So.
And you earned it too. I've heard some of your stories. You more than earned that.
Yeah.
Just saying.
To be honest, I didn't think I was going to get out alive. Honestly, wow. And Gonzo felt the same way. There's probably a lot of cops that feel that way. You go into danger so much after you've been on for a couple of years. You realize I'm probably going to get killed out here. Like statistically, you're probably. That's what I thought. My whole career, I was like, yeah, I'm never going to see retirement. I'm going to die. But I'm okay with that. I was okay with that because if I died for the city and I'm protecting people, to me, that's an honorable death. How can you, like, biblically, how can you lay down your life for a friend or even a stranger? I mean, to me, that's honorable,
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, I'm a big
Gonzo
fan.
felt the same way, and it just happened that we made it out alive. But then there's a lot of other stuff that comes with it too. So it's tough. It's tough.
Hello, Boston Brandy. Welcome. Here's a question for a retired trooper. Retired. That's what the board decided for Proctor. He gets back what he put in, but no more. So that was part of the adjudication of his.
There you go.
The character of service, the dishonorable service. So
there you go. Yep.
What's his face? Old Jeff Noble didn't do too poorly. Yeah, I don't care about the interview with his wife and sister. Of course, it's going to be a softball.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, can you please draw a distinction for us, Brian, between an inept, botched investigation and a purposely negligent investigation? Can you draw that distinction for the audience here?
One is accidental, one's on purpose.
Yeah, come on. Give me the unabridged version right here. Pretend you got the full Webster's.
I'll tell you what. After talking to Peter Murphy, because when Gonzo and I first started, when I heard how they collected the evidence, I was completely in shock and horror. I was in shock and horror. And I knew they had policies and procedures. I'm like, they have to have some kind of policy and procedure to collect it. You don't pick up blood in a red Solo cup. You don't use leaf blowers. Like, you just don't do that shit. So there's got to be some way. So that's why I specifically asked Peter Murphy in that interview. I said, Peter, you were a Canton cop, yes? Yes. How long? They're like 15, 20 years. Good. Do you have proper policies and procedures in place for impounding evidence? And he said, abso-fucking-lutely we do. Thank you. So they did. So they did what they did, to me, looks like it was 100% intentional. They didn't want to find anything because there was nothing to find. I don't believe, like you said, DJ, I think it was something happened, right? I don't know if it was a lover's triangle. John knew something about their crew. I don't know if it was like the Shield, right? I don't know if they were working something. He knew too much. Something happened. A man doesn't get unalived for no reason. Something happened. So I think when he came into the house and they invited him over, I think it was almost like a crime of opportunity. They were like, look, we have a problem. Here comes our solution. Okay, let's bring him back to the house. Like you said, I don't think they wanted to beat him to death, but I think it happened. I think it was an accident. And then Albert's like, okay, let me quarterback this and everybody run the play and it will work. So they botched on purpose the collection of evidence because I don't think there really was any evidence there other than John himself. Because I'm sorry, and I've said this a million times, and I'll say it to anybody. Even if Karen hit him with the car, it didn't kill him. Those injuries are not from a car. I'm sorry.
Right.
It didn't happen that way. It's just not, it's not feasible. So to me, it was almost as if they were kind of planting evidence as they were going. They were picking up the blood in the Solo cup, knowing it was wrong, knowing it was going to be tainted, knowing it was not going to be effective or useful later in court. They picked up his clothes, they put him a certain way, knowing again it's not going to be useful in court. They didn't take the pictures the way they were supposed to. They didn't do the crime scene analysis the way they were supposed to. So to me, they did all that on purpose because of the crime of opportunity that presented itself, that they could get rid of a problem.
Yeah, there's a woman who was on with Young Jerks with Mike about June or July of last year named Shannon McMahon. And she was like an assistant DA or something like that in Plymouth. And she said that a conspiracy, what people get wrong about a conspiracy is they kind of dream about these boardroom scenarios where she describes it as a concentric circle that gets larger and larger with each spiral. So initially, going from when Bukkake thought it was a domestic, they didn't even know what they had. They didn't know what they had to cover up because they didn't even have they didn't even have a murder weapon. They didn't know what the story was going to be. Unfortunately, sad twist of fate is that Karen cracking her taillight gave that to her, and her telling Jen McCabe, then Jen McCabe calling the police later that day. I think it was she called Lank and said a few hours later, hey, I just remembered something. Then they had to start building. Okay, now if we take photos of the car, we're going to create evidence for them. So we can't create evidence for her defense. So obviously we'll just say we didn't photograph the car. We'll photograph the car after we smash the shit out of the taillight.
Yep.
So, I mean, they didn't know all the things they had to cover. And then Peter probably told you that story where he talked to Brian Wanless when he wandered into Canton PD, and he said he removed the taillight. And he said, you did what? You removed the taillight? You guys are saying that's the murder weapon. What do you mean? And he's like, look, I don't want to talk anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
That blew my mind.
It's so much shady stuff going on. And like you said, it's moving, right? The play is evolving. And that's why when they went to court and they got locked into their testimony, that's what really starts. That's when you start seeing people kind of like, because when they ask a question, I'm sorry, we're all human beings. When they ask you a question and you're on the stand and everyone's staring at you and that judge is staring at you and you're going to lie, you're gonna act different. I'm sorry, because everybody does. We're all human. It's hard to stop that. So
Yeah, there's
Jen, man, I didn't at first. Gonzo and I we were debating if we were going to do a video of Jen because we're cops and we like doing cops. And then, but then when I started watching her, I was like, we have to do Jen because I think people would like our opinions of her testimony, and clearly they did.
she would be eaten alive by any detective in an interrogation room. She would just,
Yeah.
and a prosecutor, if she were on defense right now, she would be just ripped apart. She would be
Yeah.
for all of her actions are so guilty, which is why I was shocked when I saw that juror on there with Turtle Boy and saw how gullible these people are. And I think
Right.
it really goes back
Right.
to what you said about 15 minutes ago when you said America is so divided. We're so black and white. We're so red and blue and all this bullshit
Yeah.
political crap that
Yeah.
people can't even see the truth and utilize
Yeah.
this thing, this common sense thing, say, okay, that lady's obviously lying because all of her actions are the actions of a guilty person. What
Right.
Brian and Brian did with their phones are not the actions of, hey, come and look in my house, come anything you want to see. Those are
Yeah.
the actions of guilty persons.
Yeah.
Not the actions of people like Karen Reed who said, look, I didn't delete one damn thing from my phone.
And she
Yeah.
handed
Here,
them
take it.
her phone and her car keys. Like, take
And
it.
Turtle Boy, yeah, Turtle Boy
Voluntarily.
And
did
Turtle Boy too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if I'm in the middle of something and you're going like, here, let me see your phone. Here you go. What do
You
I
got
care?
nothing to hide. Yeah.
I want to
What do I care?
I want to bring up something. I'm sorry to digress, but Sherry D had a good question in the chat, and I want to pose this one to Brian. And if this is not it, actually, let me just save that one. She's asking that if you were on active service right now, she believes there's some legitimacy to people saying, "Hey, if I talk, maybe I call for backup and nobody comes." So would that be a concern of yours if you were patrolling and you knew that if you blew the whistle on the Alberts and the corruption in the police department, that you wouldn't get backup?
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, that'll happen. Yeah.
So do you think
Again,
that that's what's keeping their mouth shut?
Yeah. Look, it comes down to it. You either have to be all in, right, or all out, and you get a bunch of guys and you go all in together. So this way you're not alone. If a ship out at sea by itself, man, it sucks. It sucks. Gets very lonely. But when you have a fleet, right, and you're going in a direction, it feels very different. So what I would say is for the people back in Canton, if you're one of those guys that wants to be a whistleblower, get a bunch of guys, team up together and say, look, guys, this we can't do this anymore. We just can't. To me, I think that would be slightly effective, right? And then this way you're not running around by yourself, being unprotected and going to calls by yourself. Because can that happen? That can. But now here's you play devil's advocate. Okay, now everyone's mad at me. I blew the whistle, blah, blah, blah. I'm on a domestic by myself. I get into a fight. I get attacked. Now I get murdered. And now the cops show up. They're going to pull everything and they're going to be like, how come nobody came to back him? Oh, well, you know why. Yeah, and now we have another dead cop here because you guys didn't want to protect, you didn't want to help him. That will be a huge problem. So it can go up until it finally crashes, But yeah, I think that would be my advice is to get your fleet in the ocean instead of just being on the little orange dinghy by yourself, trying not to get eaten by the sharks.
One of the problems I think with that, Brian, and you may agree or disagree with me, is just having that meeting, which is going to be held somewhere where they have privacy. You don't know if anybody's going to walk from that meeting and they're going to go talk, and then you're fucked.
Yep.
And I hate to use that word on air, but these are very emotional things we're talking about here.
Correct. Yeah. And this like I used to tell this to teenagers when they used to act a fool and then when they used to do something very serious. This is a man's world. You're going to act like a man You're going to get treated like a man. And in that man's world, you might not like what happens to you. The man's world is very violent, it's very dangerous. So, again, if you're messing with men like this, you better be ready to get dirty. So, to me, it would be, again, like I've said, me and Gonzo, and I would get my buddies, and it would be war. And if I die in that war, it's okay.
Gotta die for something. You
I'd
know,
rather go out in a
it's
blaze of glory than having a freaking heart attack on the shitter. You know what I
yep.
mean? There's
Yeah,
no dignity. There's no dignity in death. Trust me, I've seen more than 1,000 dead bodies. There's no dignity in death. Whether you're a millionaire or you're broke, it doesn't matter. You all look this. Everybody looks the same.
I used to say in deployment and flying in combat, I would say, I don't mind dying because we either made a mistake or we just got shot. You know, sometimes they'll target the aircraft and they'll get you. You know, we've been got, but I don't want to die because we made a decision and did something stupid, or you're with a pilot that makes a decision and puts us in unnecessarily in harm's way, or tries to be
Right.
what we would call a cowboy with the airplane, like being
Right.
too aggressive, you know, with
Right.
maneuvers. We've seen
Right.
people die from that too. So anyway,
Yeah, I mean, it's really who you have with you, how much you trust them, and what variables you have in the moment. You know, because it depends. You might have a guy with you that you don't trust that much, or you got your best friend with you. So I've seen some guys do some pretty crazy stuff that could have got him killed. They didn't, and then you're a hero, right? It's hey, when it's your time, it's your time. That's
Yeah.
that's all you can do. I'll always fight to the end, and when the Lord decides to take me home, it's going to be a beautiful day. I always tell my family, don't cry for me.
yeah,
Shit, I don't have to work no more. I don't have to do anything. I'm just chilling with Jesus, playing the back nine up there. Oh, I'm good.
I've had
I'm
a great,
good.
I've had a great life. I mean, it's got to end
Yeah.
sometime. It might
Mm-hmm.
as well be for a good cause. And that's what a lot of these guys just don't have, that attitude about dying for a good cause. They, they're envisioning being down at the Cape, drinking fucking White Claws and whatever. And, being a fat cat retiree, I guess. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the Gen Zs. It's the guys like us, older guys that I don't know. We're workers, man. We're grunts. I'm a foot soldier. I'm here to work my
Me
whole
too.
life until I die.
Yeah.
And I'm here to have fun. And the Lord will take me when it's time. And I'm not going to argue. And we put so much value in our lives, through the relationships and the love and your friends and family. But I look at it very differently. In God's eyes, we're just Jesus says it, we're a breath of air. Our life, it means it's next life that's more important than this life. This life is nothing. So I don't ever worry about dying here.
Yeah, that's a brilliant way to put it. I thank you for sharing that philosophy with all of us here. I want to get to what stitch back to what we were saying earlier about, and then I got to make sure I get Bia in here, but Nicholas Barros, and what our retired trooper is saying, pictures before it was put on the rollback equal no case. And I've said that if you believe what Nicholas Barros says, there was a crack in the taillight, a piece had fallen down inside, that doesn't equal 45 pieces.
Nope.
To me, if they can't impeach him, the case should be over.
Right.
And they didn't even cross-examine him.
Yeah. Burden of proof. Come on, people.
Yeah.
No, you got nothing. 47 pieces? Are you kidding me?
And here's a guy who doesn't give a damn about the Alberts. He couldn't give a crap about Canton or Norfolk or any of this crap. He doesn't live there, doesn't care. And here's the one impartial police officer that you guys are going to see, including Fanning there standing behind the jury box. Right. You're going to see the one impartial guy is telling you it did not look like that picture. Case is over, right? Trooper, case is over.
Yeah.
Okay. So want to make sure you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, they have to, the burden of proof is on them, right? They have to prove it. So to me, I wouldn't have taken this case from day one. just when they tell me just what I've seen from the evidence collection, I'd be like, nah, everything's tainted. Everything's inadmissible. It's like almost like fruits of the poisonous tree. Once it's bad, it's all bad. You can't it's all inadmissible. And they didn't take Karen's blood till later on, till the next day. It's just the whole thing from start to finish was just a mess.
And can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What do you think happens to all of Proctor's investigations that or cases that are like pending, like the Anna Walsh? Do you think that because he did a good investigation on some, do you think that crumbles those cases?
I would, me personally, if I was in charge where Proctor worked, I would have somebody go back through every single one of his cases. Because I can't trust him. And I can't, if I'm his boss, I don't want to lay my head down at night thinking that there's an innocent person in jail and I can get them out, right? Like
Right.
that doesn't sit well with me. Look, people deserve to be in prison. Yes, the right people, not the wrong people, right? I've always said I would rather let a guilty man free than put an innocent man behind bars, because that innocent man could be me.
Right.
It could be DJ. It could be you, right? So it's easy to say, "Oh, put him in jail," until it's you, right? I've been
Right.
to jail. Jail sucks. It's a smelly, nasty place. You don't want to be there. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
no, I was just
So
answering
you're
your
saying that
question.
you basically would double check his work, almost like a QC type thing, and just to make sure everything was on the up and up. But you don't. But
Yep.
at the end of the day, if you determine that it was a good investigation, the fact that he was fired, dishonorably fired, wouldn't affect any pending cases. Is basically what I got.
I don't know how they're going to look at it. I would want to know. I would want his past cases brought up to me, and I would want to see. I would want to see the evidence. I'd want to see the suspect, the victim. I'd want to see pictures of the scene. I'd want to see all of the evidence, and I want to make sure that everything's on the up and up. And I would start there with each case. Each case, boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna let me see. Look, okay. Do we need to dive into this further? How much time did this guy get? What did the jury say? How long did they deliberate? You know, stuff like that. So you don't have to spend days on each case. You can look through them rather quickly, and see if there's any red flags that might jump out at you. I would probably have like paralegals and lawyers and stuff do that. So
Let's talk about just I'm going to call him disgraced Brooklyn detective Louis Scarcella. And what happened with Detective Scarcella was he framed up a guy for a killing of a rabbi named David Ranta. He had a guy that fingered Ranta that was in jail at Rikers. He and his partner were going in, they were doing takeouts with the guy, taking him to see his mom, taking him to see his girlfriend, whole 9 yards.
like
And then he testified and they arrested David Ranta. And it took 23 years. This is on podcast, so you can listen to it. The podcast is done by Steve Fishman. I'd have to go back and get it. But David Ranta was finally found innocent and released. And you get to hear the judge telling him, apologizing. He obviously sued the city and won money.
Of course.
So the reason I bring up the Louis Scarcella case relative to the Proctor case is because the Brooklyn DA himself is the one that did they put a new Brooklyn DA in there, or assistant DA. He might have just been the DA himself. He went and did all the investigation to find out that David Ranta was framed. He went to North Carolina. Some guy was working in a car wash. I mean, he really went in there. And then when it was over and he figured out that Louis Scarcella had framed him and they released David Ranta, he then went back through all those cases, what Bia was talking about. And now the city has paid out, I don't know, it was $120 million, $130 million, but it was the city has paid out more lawsuits on wrongful convictions from arrests of famed super cop Louis Scarcella than any other single police officer in New York City history.
Yeah, it's there have been cops, yeah, that want to make a quick name for themselves and they plant evidence. Yeah, I mean, especially back in the 70s and the 80s. Yeah, unfortunately, it did happen. Yeah, it's you can do it if you want to,
But they
but again,
won't, because you're going to have,
it's choices and consequences.
yeah.
And
But
again, you shouldn't, if you're taking that oath, you should be taking it seriously. Gonzo and I, when we took that oath, I swore to protect this city, with integrity, courage, accountability, respect for others, and excellence. And that's what I did.
that's how it's done right there, ladies and gentlemen. That's how the hell it's done.
Yeah.
The problem that they're going to have is a lot of people believe when people, we don't know the funding source for Hank Brennan yet. We know initially they released something that said he was going to make $75,000. That would have been like $250 an hour between January and June. Then they just released something that he's been paid something $239,000. I can't remember the exact amount. And so a lot of people postulate that Hank Brennan aspires to be the next scumbag DA to succeed Mike Morrissey.
He could be.
That's why I don't think they're going to do that investigation of Proctor's cases, because they don't have the integrity that Brooklyn DA had, where they
might not. Right. And the Brooklyn DA, like you said, it only takes one man with courage and big balls to go forward and stop. Because like I said, the only thing that stops a bad man is a good man.
And we don't have one. We don't have one trooper and not one member of CPD, not one that's willing to say, I mean, you heard Sean. Look at that. Brian, you heard McDonough. I know you heard McDonough say, and everybody in the chat, forgive me because you guys heard us talk about this like a week ago. Canton PD had a cop that was breaking in to a catering facility and stealing steak tips. Eventually, the owner, seeing the installed cameras, and that's how she caught him. And she reported it, and they didn't even fire the guy. Think about that in your department, that you had a brother officer that was committing a B&E on multiple occasions and then was caught on camera.
Yeah, no, you'd be fired.
Would maybe prosecuted.
First time, yeah. Well, depends on, I've had a guy, I use this guy as an example. I won't say his name. We have gas cards, right? So there's been guys that have used gas cards and they say, hey man, give me $20 cash and I'll give you $30 in gas. So I've seen guys lose their career over $20 and $30 in cash.
In gas.
Mm-hmm. So are they going to press charges on them? No, because it's so menial, it's so pointless, right? So they just say no. We're going to fire you, or we'll let you retire in lieu of termination.
But a B&E followed by robbery?
That would go, if you did that here, B&E with robbery, you're gonna face charges. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're gonna face charges for that. Yeah.
Bia, tell the story, right? The guy, the lady called the fire department because she knew someone that worked at Canton Fire, and they called police, right?
Yep.
And that's after, because she kept finding out she was missing steak tips.
Yeah.
And that's.
He must have really loved them steak tips, man. They must have been really good. It's like crack to him. If you're willing to break into a place for their steak tips, they must be put something illegal into their sauce.
Okay, if we take the humor out of it, think about how brazen do you have to be to enter, to break and enter into a place of business and steal. Now, recently there was a Massachusetts trooper that got caught stealing from Target. I don't know if you saw that. Two different Target stores, and security got him. Security got this guy. Bia, am I correct on that? Hello, Bia?
Sorry, I muted myself.
Yeah. But the trooper from Target, right?
Yeah.
But this right here is a dude actually breaking into a place on multiple occasions, and then just like Where's your mindset to break into a business as an officer on duty?
He's an idiot.
Again, like,
He's an idiot. He's a fucking idiot. If you're that brazen, you're an idiot. And he got caught and he got fired, and he's an idiot.
I don't
He's
think he got fired. That's
well, either way, trust me, he will get fired eventually,
Yeah.
because if you're
Yeah.
that brazen, he's going to keep doing dumb stuff. Eventually he'll get hung up somewhere. But again, cops are people too. And people forget that. They think they see a cop and you're like a machine. That's not. It's cops are people, and people
Yeah.
are stupid. And
Yeah.
people
But
do
can I
dumb
ask
things.
you a question? Do you think it's kind of like building, like you don't start off that way, but you do a favor for this person, and then now the favor gets bigger. Now do you think it's kind of like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it can be exactly like that. But that's where you always have to have your integrity in check. Because sometimes somebody might be like, hey, I need you to do this, and that's when you're going to say, wait a second, hold on, I didn't see that. Well, I know, but just write it on the paper. No, I'm not going to do that. So there's ways to stand up to it. It's just hard. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. It sucks. But yes, it's a slippery slope to where one little favor turns to a bigger one, Next thing you know, you're running with the crew, and you're doing half the bad stuff that you're arresting people for, like in the movies. Because there is a sense of when you're a cop, there is a sense of like power that you're almost untouchable, because you kind of are. You're like, if I'm pulling you over and you're like, I'm calling the police, I'm the cops. Who are you going to call? Like, I'm right here.
Right.
So when they get that kind of feeling of the power, and now they're not being monitored and watched that closely, and they have free reign, that can really lead down bad roads.
So how do you stop somebody like this? Just if they get caught and your peers report you?
Yeah. It's going to take somebody to stand up and say, look, so-and-so is doing this, and I don't like it, and I got to speak up, and I got to say something. And if everyone's going to, not work with you or make your life miserable, it might be time to look for a career, be a cop in a different state or a different city. Start a fire and bounce.
I want to make an argument right now on behalf of Mass State Trooper Terrence Kent. At 173K, Brian, I say this guy is vastly underpaid. I mean, you have Kelleher making over 300K. Sherry, do you just put that in there? This guy's underpaid. Of course he should be stealing. I mean, and bribing people. I mean, who can live on 173K? How can he be expected to live?
Hey, 170,000 a year, you can probably get off WIC. You could probably get your kids Christmas gifts this year with 173,000. Maybe. We'll see.
Oh my goodness. This is just way too funny. Huge upgrades after OJO's death. Oh yeah, all those guys got pay upgrades after John O'Keefe's death. Yeah. That gets you promoted. You're like, hey man, you guys helped us cover it up.
Bad behavior.
Yeah.
Well, they did such an amazing job through the investigation. They deserved a raise.
Yeah. This is just too funny. 173, not too bad. Come on. They don't make as much as a Canton police officer. And this guy had to go through hazing at the State Police Academy. Come on. Yeah, there is zero oversight. If you were to make a theme of what the problem is in this case, let's say I'm going to take two words that aren't corruption, that aren't evil, our favorite words in the Free Karen Reed movement. And I'm going to use and I'm going to be able to stratify that across the town, the state, the DA, the judge. I'm going to say what SHP said right here. The problem is there is zero oversight.
Yeah.
We're talking about body cameras. We're talking about oversight from supervision, and even from the colonel's office, at their way out there at the Norfolk DA's office, chipping in to Michael Morrissey's reelection fund. I know there's nothing ethically wrong, you know, with
Mm-hmm.
troopers working in an office that are
Mhm.
donating to the reelection fund of the sitting DA. I know that's nothing in the ethics book about that, but there's
Right.
no oversight on her. And Judge Bev can basically go in there and urinate in the courtroom, and there's nothing they can do. There is no oversight on what.
Yep.
The only thing they could do is appeal after, if they put, God forbid, they put Karen in jail.
If bed
No
pisses
oversight.
on the floor, the only thing they can do is clean it up.
That's it. Hey, Fanning, go grab the mop. I mean, what are they going to do?
Yeah. You know, we
I'll tell you what.
here in Vegas about 2015. Speaking of oversight, they started a new office. The sheriff started a new office. It was called the OIO, the Office of Internal Oversight.
Mhm.
And specifically with Metro, it was literally to just watch, you know, see what are people doing, watching good cops, watching bad cops, watching everybody. You see everybody. You know, because we try to be transparent out here in Vegas, and Vegas is a big city, so you know we try to do it right all the time. That's what we try to do. We always try to do it the right way all the time.
And they are afflicted with severe townyism in these
Yeah.
towns that aren't that small. I'm from a smaller town in New York that's similar, that has some powerful families, but
Right.
nothing of this criminal gravity. You know, one of my high school classmates who we're about to have our 40th reunion with is the colonel for the New York State Police.
There you go.
He's the colonel, and he's the
Yeah.
top ranking guy.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine him doing anything like what, or tolerating what these dirtbags do. Nothing like that.
And I hope he wouldn't, and he shouldn't.
He wouldn't. He would be
No.
kicking somebody's ass out of the state police.
I think it's, you know, a guy's, there's reasons to become cops, right? You want to serve and protect, you want to help people, you want to make a difference. But some people, you got to remember, there's good and bad, right? Some cops, they don't always hold the badge in the highest regard, and they take the job because it's really just a job for them. And they disservice the badge, and they dishonor the badge, and it makes it harder for cops like me and Gonzo and the good cops out there that try to do the right thing. But you know, it happens, and sometimes those people they squeak through, and it's guys like Proctor and all these other men. You know, they don't always have your best interest at heart. It's more about them.
They're very good liars. They're
Yeah.
able to lie in those tests. And really what they want is a sense of power. They
Yeah.
want to have that exclusivity, the power.
Yeah.
And they know when they get that they can bend the law. And they're probably thinking along those lines. And then they arrive at Canton PD and they're introduced to, okay, this is how we do things here, son.
Yeah.
Obviously, Peter Murphy didn't do that, but obviously that element existed. So
Yeah. No. Yeah. And that happens. You know, I've seen similarities here. Nothing to that extent, but yeah, when you get someplace and they're like, "Hey, this is how we do things," like you ain't ruffling feathers. So, and you're not.
And
You know?
I want to agree with the cat lady here. She's using all these great words: dishonesty, shady, depravity, immorality, wickedness, vice,
Yes.
sinfulness, degeneracy, decadence, exploitation, misconduct, and misuse.
Yeah.
But it all feeds into the problem is that it's like we have an inspector general in every aspect of the government has an IG. You know, for those for Bryan, they would have had IA, you know,
Mhm.
but for us in the federal system, we have the IG to make sure that people are held accountable so that there is some oversight. So there's zero oversight. What they said earlier, there's no oversight. And that's the problem. And that's why people are begging for the feds, because the MSP doesn't have to do anything. They can just sit here, and unless the feds come in and do something and have something conspiratorial, public corruption, you know, you've heard Sean talk about these issues.
Yeah.
Then that's the only way there to be held account, because the state ain't going to do it. They're not going to invest and go, "Oh, we're so sorry. We made some." They're not going to blacken their own eye. That's not happening. So
The government's not known for apologizing to a.
exactly, you know, and one of the things I tell, you know, about being a man is saying I'm sorry and saying I messed up. It's
Look,
very cathartic.
yes, it sucks. I've had to apologize. I've messed up a few times, many times. I've had some doozies, and let me tell you sometimes, man, it's one of the worst days of your life. But guess what? You get over it, you get through it, and then life just gets so much better, and you feel better. You know what I mean? Nothing's better than being able to sleep at night knowing that you did your best every day. And again, with the corrupt cops, again, if you go someplace and they're corrupt, get out. If you can't change it, you're gonna have to get out. And unfortunately, this is the real world. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about the MSP working so closely with the ME? The fact that they're texting each other saying, "Oh, you should have let me do it. Yeah, I would have got the designation." Do you think does that happen in Las Vegas also? That
No.
they work so closely?
Well, you get to know people because, like the homicide detectives, they go down and see the medical examiner and the coroner almost daily. So you get to know these people, right? Like CSI. I knew the CSI, a lot of the CSI girls. You would see the same girl every week for years, right? And a lot of CSI, they're married to cops. So you get to know these people and you get relationships with them. So then when you go down there and like with Officer O'Keefe, hey, what do we got? Boom, boom, boom. Hey, and so now you can influence them. Absolutely. Because you're gonna say, hey, look, this is what I got. This is what we're leaning to. So you're not going to say the words. But if I'm telling you, Bea, hey, this is where I'm leaning, you're catching what I'm putting out there, right? So you're shaking your head. You're like, yeah, this is where we're leaning. This is where we're headed with this. So I'm guiding you, right, to the answer that I want. Does that happen here? I don't. I can never say for sure it doesn't, because when you have relationships with people, things change, right? But I think Vegas does a very good job of keeping it loyal and keeping it honorable, right? I think when we have a death, the coroner comes out, we rule it right there. Most deaths, we know what happened at the scene. Okay, I mean most of the time when I get to the scene and there's a dead body there, I know why he died, because I'm asking questions. The family, oh, he had a heart condition. Well, he had a heart attack. Well, are we shocked? No. He was cleaning the things and he fell off the roof. Okay, well, it's an accident, So most of the time we'll know. And I think with Officer O'Keefe's case, I think they kind of knew as well. And just like the first responder said, it looked like he got into a fight. Your first instinct is usually probably correct, because he was in a fight.
Yep.
Because he was.
Yeah. And
he might not have participated as well as he wanted to, but he was in a fight.
Yeah.
It wasn't a fair fight, but it was a fight.
Yeah, because certainly he wouldn't have. More than likely, that blow came when he didn't see that coming, and he got smacked on the back of the head. And his game over.
The EMT said he looked like he went 5 rounds with Mike Tyson.
Yeah, his eyes.
So correct. So the only way to get all the motor vehicle accidents I've seen, right? Most people don't get hit. When they get hit, it's always their body. I've never really seen anybody hit in the face. But with Karen and Officer O'Keefe, the way that the trooper Paul was saying that he hit him, right, and he did the famous pirouette, it wouldn't have done anything to his face. It wouldn't have done anything to his arm, except when you see bad car accidents, it's a hit, right? So when you get hit, what does that do? It leaves a contusion, it leaves a bruise, right? And some swelling, redness. It doesn't rip open and leave thousands of little cuts, right? I've never seen that in a car accident. It's always blunt. So would have hit his arm, maybe gave him a bruise on his arm. He had multiple fractures of the skull. Even if he went flying in the air and landed on the frozen ground, which I know they're trying to pull the meteorologist in to say that the ground was hard as a rock or whatever.
Yep.
It's irrelevant, because even if he hit his head on the ground, he would have one impact spot on the brain, on the head. He has multiple, right? So the head's not going to break and then go like an egg. No. So when he gets hit in the back of the head and there's a skull fracture, it's just going to stay there. But he has multiple, which means multiple hits. The car at 24 miles an hour in reverse hitting his arm is not going to hit his head. The ground is not going to do that to his head, nor to his face. A broken taillight's not going to go through a long sleeve shirt and scratch the hell out of his arms. It's not going to happen. That's why when I look at the jury and I'm like, the fuck is wrong with you people?
They're
like,
not
are you
smart.
serious? Do we have anybody with an education above like fucking kindergarten?
They're not.
I know colors can be tough, but come on, people. You know.
And all the reason, everything that they thought was a distractor was the reasonable doubt.
Yeah, they made a lot of mistakes. I mean, there was a lot of pressure on them, and they didn't. First of all, again, I'm being critical of people that I love and respect, but you know it's what you sign up for, right? They didn't cross-examine Nicholas Barros and drill down on. Are you saying that what you saw didn't look like that photo right there? They never did. They didn't even cross-examine him. So they're going to do that this time, and he's on their witness list. The other thing is that I believe Dr. Sheridan said that one of those strikes that caused that 2.5-inch gash, and I know that's maybe not a medical term, on the back of the head.
Yeah.
Huh?
Laceration, cut.
Laceration. Thank you. Would have made his brain swell, and they don't believe he got up and walked. I don't know if that had something to do with the eye swelling as well. I just don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, if you get hit hard enough in the head, it's called raccooning. Your eyes can go black. It's from getting a bad concussion.
Okay.
So you can get black eyes, but they won't really swell, though. They'll just discolor under here, right? Because if you get a bad concussion, I've had bad concussions. It sucks. Yeah, you get the black eyes. Your head hurts.
Yeah. So that right there, I think is.
But it wouldn't create swelling and bruising or swelling though. And like you can tell when there's an impact from a fist or a blunt object. You can tell the way the skin reacts, you know, versus just discoloration.
Yeah, somebody probably did a ground when he went down. Somebody probably grounded and pounded him that scrape or cut across the nose and so forth. So yeah, more than likely someone made that cowardly move after he got hit to try to, you know, make themselves look tough.
Could have picked up they were in the weight room. So Gonzo and I were talking. It could have been somebody came up behind him while they were distracted, hit him in the head with the weight, or punched him in the nose. He falls, hits his head on the weight. Right? Could be a couple different scenarios. Either way, I mean, the outcome is the same. It's just, I would really like to know.
Hey, Brian, I can tell you my postulation. I think that somebody hit him on the back of the head, because if he's just in a fair fight and he falls and he hits his head, that's an accident that you can call 911 and be like, hey, man, these two guys were fighting. You can call the duty sarge, tell the duty sarge what happened. And, hey, man, okay.
I agree.
But if you hit him, if you struck him with something, then he's going to tell a different story than what Brian Albert is going to tell the duty sergeant. Now we got problems.
Yeah.
If Keith wakes up, he's going to say, dude, somebody hit me from behind and caused this gash.
Yeah.
Now we got lieutenants involved and.
Oh yeah. Unless the concussion affects your memory, which it very much can.
It could.
And you might not remember getting hit in the back of the head.
But
a lot of times, like I do a lot of training, a lot of fighting, and sometimes when you don't see the punch coming or the kick coming,
that's where you get knocked out. Yeah,
I'm like, you have no idea what just happened, and next thing you know, you're waking up and you're like, did I get hit by a truck? What, a car? No, man, I just hit you with a right. Oh, you don't even know, and you could tell me an alien came and smacked me across the face, a 5-year-old hit me with a brick, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I've not been knocked out in sparring, but knocked silly and stupid in sparring, and then had to take a break. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, but but I think Albert would have thought if he wakes up, he could tell a different story than what we're going to tell.
100%.
That's what Albert would have thought.
There could have been so many different scenarios going on. They might have been like, well, now we got to kill him. Now we got to do this. who knows? It could have been something like right out of The Sopranos. Hey, let's take this guy out. Let's take him downstairs. As soon as we get downstairs, we're going to give him a beating. We're going to take him out, and then we're going to drag him out front. Karen just left. We're going to say that she hit him with the car or something. You know, I mean, things could work out very quickly, you know.
Yeah. For me, I have to figure out why they wouldn't have called 911. That's the only thing I have to solve. And the only thing I can think for that is they had to have thought O'Keefe will tell a different story than what we're going to tell if he wakes up.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking? Did you see the special on Max about Karen? The Night of the Snow or something?
Yes.
You saw it, babe? It was awesome, right?
Yes.
Yeah, with the wife and I watched all 3 episodes last night. So I saw one thing that I never even knew about, really didn't know about this case. And I wish Karen would have done something differently on this. She said, and you don't know this, DJ. Well, you might know, but Bay will know what I'm talking about. When Karen dropped him off at 34, and she said, and don't mind you, everyone's been drinking, everyone's got a little bit of attitude, right? East Coast attitude. So he goes in and it's a minute. And she's like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Right? I'd be the same. Like, you're just asking him if we're coming in to hang out, dude. What are you doing in there? Like, and then she says, it turned into 10 minutes. So she sat out front for 10 minutes. Me, I would have parked and went in that house.
Yeah, but girls are different.
I wish Karen would have said, something's going on. My man's been in there 10 minutes just to ask if we're having drinks at this house. Something's not right. I would have barged through that door. Where is my man? Where is John? But then she might not have left that house alive as well. So again,
Wow.
but what I'm saying is I just wish Karen would have walked into that house after John was missing for 10 minutes. That could have been a huge game changer. Because I know if my wife walked into a house and it's dark and it's 10 minutes go by and she's not answering the phone, you're damn right I'm going into that house. And if you lock me out and my wife's in there, I'm kicking that door and I'm coming in.
But see, I think that's the difference between men and women, though. I don't. We hear that she had to go to the ladies' room. She already didn't feel welcomed. So that's the only thing I slightly disagree with you, because I don't know if I would have, she didn't feel welcome there, which is why he went to do the preview or whatever you want to call it. I know, but I get your point. I can see you coming after me. Like if you're my man, yes, that makes sense that you would be coming to look for your woman. But I don't know if the roles are reversed. If I didn't feel welcome somewhere, yikes! I don't know if I'd be.
But your man's in there.
Yeah, but he probably knock on the door, right? Drinking. He's been drinking.
I know, why but your man is. But your man's in that house. There's no lights on. So we don't know what's going on in there. And he's been in there for 10 minutes and he's not answering the phone. To me, that is even after 2 minutes, those red flags are going up fast as all hell to me. I wouldn't even have lasted 10 minutes. I would have lasted about 3. And then I would have been banging on that door going, what the fuck's going on? Are we drinking or not? What's up? What are we doing? Are we leaving? What are we doing? You know?
We're going to have Boston Mike on in a couple of weeks, and he's part of Tom's CPU show. He knew John O'Keefe, and we're going to try to get a sense of what type of a guy he was and what Karen's thinking might have been, because you guys are having a very interesting discussion. Both of you guys are making very, very valid points, and maybe Mike can shed a little bit of light on. So we're going to have to revisit this topic.
Yeah.
But I really want to thank you for coming on, Bryon. You are like an awesome dude, man. And we love your show. And we love you showing what policing is all about. This is what it's all about. You are the guys that we admire. You guys are the rule. And then these douchebags are the exception. They're not the rule.
The side of the car, it says to serve and protect. And people forget that. It's not to punish and enslave like the Transformers, though that is a badass. I have to say that. But we're not here to punish and enslave. We're here to serve and protect. And when you do that, to me, being a cop was about making a difference in someone's life and being the light in their darkest hour and helping them. Do you got to take people to jail? Yeah, it sucks. It's a byproduct of being a cop. Sometimes you got to take people to jail. It sucks, whatever. But you become a cop is to help people and to make a change in their life. And that's why me and Gonzo did it. And that's why all my friends did it. So there are a lot of good cops out there in this country, a lot of good ones. There's just a couple bad ones too.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the many that are the great ones, and then it's
Right.
the few idiots that are
But
out there.
don't give up on the good ones. The
Hell
best thing
no.
you could do is look at a cop, smile, and wave. Thank you
Yep.
for your service. A lot of people that I pull up to people, when I was a cop, I'd pull up next to them and I'd smile and wave, and they'd look at me like, and I'd roll down the window. You can smile and wave, and I'd literally have some people say, "Well, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I smile, I look guilty. If I should I look away? If I look away too quick, you pull me over." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, people, just smile and wave."
If you're not doing anything wrong, dude. Yeah. I mean, yeah, people are just, they're a little.
But you see how the normal people, when they see a cop, you get black and white fever, right? They freak out. And we're just normal people, just like everybody else. Smile and wave.
Exactly. Like Dawn is doing right there. Once and again, it's been an honor, and I hope that we get to have you on again, maybe with your amigo Gonzo. Be as long speak some Spanish with him.
Yeah, Gonzo had to work today, so otherwise, we try to do as much as we can together. Because we're a team. I mean, we started the channel together, so yeah, we like to do. But we can't always be together. So.
Oh, it's an honor to have you. I want to invite you back, so we'll invite you both back, and whichever one of you can make it, can make it. But thank you very much for your time. Namaste, and thank you for all that you've done for the people of Las Vegas and everywhere that you've served.
Well,
and thank you for taking an interest in Massachusetts. I can't tell you how your breakdown, what you guys are doing on your show has been helpful to us here, because, not a lot of good cops are coming out and kind of speaking out. There's a very select few. So it is an honor to have you, take an interest in Massachusetts. And, I feel kind of bad because I feel like it's put a highlight on our state. And it's sad. Like, it's sad. But,
okay,
I thank you for what you're doing.
We all agree. And look, America is America. We're a melting pot. And sometimes cities go through a little bit of growing pains. Look, I love Philly. I'm from Philly. Philly's one of the worst cities in the country right now. Probably one of the worst cities in the world.
That's all good, man.
But it's just part of life. And the cops in Canton right now are having a hard time. They'll get through it. It's just a wave they got to ride through. And hopefully on the other end of that wave, there's some good, wholesome cops that can take over, and hopefully your area will change very differently. The area of Canton, that's what I hope. Because
you're setting an example, honestly.
Well, they deserve good, honest cops that are, again, you're there to help them. You're not there to screw them over. You're not there to plant evidence. You're not there to use them as scapegoats to just say, "Oh, we can do whatever we want. I'm gonna put everybody else in jail." Like, come on, man. This isn't the movies. This is real life. If you have a family like Sopranos and they run shit, okay. Like, do you want to mind your P's and Q's a little bit? Maybe. You got to figure that stuff out on your own, right? Cops can't figure that out for you. But if the family's getting too big, hey, law enforcement's going to have to take them out. And if that family's law enforcement, then you need more law enforcement
to take them out.
You can always get more. Trust me. There's a million cops in the country now. You can always get more.
Hell yeah. And honest ones.
Yes.
I also would like to thank our retired North Carolina State Highway Patrolman.
Yes, he comes in on our chats when we do lives. I think
awesome.
I've seen him before. Yeah. So that's cool. Yeah, I love it when cops chime in and speak their piece or want to give their opinion as well. All are welcome.
Yeah, we totally need that. And obviously, I was told earlier he was on with Young Jerks, so that's great.
Yeah. Well, we need more cops speaking up. I mean, I wish more. I get a few texts here and there, and I get a few comments. I'm a cop, so and so, and I agree with you, but I just don't speak out. And I get it. But maybe over some time, everybody can slowly kind of just start the wave. Because again, there's power in numbers, right? A man by himself, he can do so much. You get 1 million men, right? Now you got a problem.
They got to tough up, man, and say.
So we get the more people we get pushing for Karen to get the truth, they can't ignore it. Can't. It's too big.
Can I ask you one final question?
Sure.
What do you have any thoughts about the fact that there's not one Boston police officer outside of that courtroom? I think there is one that was a friend of his in the courtroom, but they're not out there showing their solidarity. Do you have any thoughts on that?
They're probably told to stay away.
They were.
Yeah. Right.
They were.
Yeah. That's typical for cops is because cops are very loyal and we're very lazy. So the laziness is when they tell us, hey, we all need to show up at court to show solidarity for something. At least with Metro, you might get a couple of cops because cops are very lazy. And then if they're loyal, that's why when they're driving by, they're hitting their sirens. They can't post and be there, so they're driving by on purpose and they're hitting their sirens as we're with you.
Wow. I thought it was, oh, wow. It just happens to be the prosecution up every time that they do.
They don't know. They don't know who's in the building. They're just told, because I could see that happening here. Every time you drive by the courthouse, chirp your sirens.
Wow.
I've been through funerals, cops funerals, and I couldn't attend it on because I'm on duty and we were short staffed, right? But when I would drive past the funeral, I would chirp my sirens as a salute.
Wow. Well, thank you for highlighting that. That's pretty interesting. So
yeah, that's how they were. That's how they were getting to each other. Just nobody knows it except them. Yeah.
To give you to the cops out there, I'll say this: you can look at it as this sort of blue line thing that we don't do this and to our own and all this. But I'm going to tell you this, coming from the AFSOC community, if we had somebody who didn't meet standards, we wanted to get that guy the fuck out of the seat and get him out of there, because what we're saying is you have proven through your performance that you are not to be one of us. You are not safe. You don't belong in one of these areas. So you don't want to protect people just because they're wearing a badge and you're wearing a badge, because we had the same thing. Guys wearing the same uniform and same patches I'm wearing. But if you suck and you're doing things that are dangerous and you're going to get somebody hurt, then we want you out, because you are going to soil the good name that we have. So that's how you guys need to look at it.
Yep. No, I agree. And that happens in police. It's, I've been left, abandoned to get ambushed, and the guy got fired. Like you said, they don't deserve to be there, but they are. And their true colors show, right? Because when I got an active shooter started shooting at me at the Ross, we got into a gunfight. And you can see me on body cam have a gunfight, but the guy, my partner, got shot at first. He drove away and left. Just left me.
Doesn't deserve to be wearing the uniform. So
and he got fired. For Metro, he got fired just like that. But in other places, maybe he might not have. I don't know. Again, because of the human aspect, you don't know how you're going to act. Like you said, when the bullets start flying, you can train all you want. But you're going to resort back to your highest level of training in a critical incident. If you don't train, you're going to be a shit sandwich. We train all the time, and that's why in Metro was one of the highest trained facilities, the departments. Everybody's coming to Metro over the past 10 years to look at our training, and we run them through what we do. And we do that on purpose. So when we come to scenarios and stuff in real life, we're not surprised. Nothing could surprise me. Like where I work now at Mandalay Bay, nothing could happen in that hotel that I would be like, whatever happens in that hotel, I will handle, period. Doesn't matter. So, and I think that's, so a lot of departments are looking at Metro, and we're training a lot of them. And that's a good thing, because the more you train, the better you get. The better you get, the better you perform. The better you perform, just the better you are, right? And that's what the city deserves, is class act cops that uphold the law, but are also friendly and want to help people.
I love everything that you just said and agree with everything you said. But
Yeah.
when we're talking about questions of morality, we can use that in the same sentence that we're using performance. So if we're having a morality issue, a thing there where someone is doing B&Es or somebody is performing poor investigations, which then reflects on MSP, what Colonel Noble talked about, those kinds of things. You as an MSP, you don't want that person as a brother
No.
because they have made you look bad. What you were talking about, performance, because I use that word, but it could be anything. You
Right.
want to get that guy or gal out of there and out of a police uniform and out on the street doing
Right.
something else. That's
Right.
the point. Don't protect that person and go, oh, they're one of us, I'm going to cover for them. If they suck for whatever reason,
Yeah.
get them out of there.
No, they're bringing us down. If you can't be godly, and you don't, I mean, look, not everybody lives a godly life, but when
Right.
you're in that uniform, you need to serve and protect. If you can't do that, then yeah, like you said, you need to bounce. But it also comes from, as a new officer, depending on how you are as a person, you have to be bold enough that when somebody says something or does something, you can say, that's wrong, fix it right now, or I'm gonna fuck you up. Because I've said that to people. Fix your shit right now, or I'm gonna fuck you up. Do that in front of me again, and I'm gonna fuck you up. So when you work like that, and you have an attitude like that, and you carry yourself like that, people won't do the shit in front of you ever. Bad stuff. They'll be like, Brian Gonzo, nope, don't fuck with him.
Don't, yeah, because they're going
Because I will call you out on your fucking bullshit just like that. And if you have a problem with it, I don't fucking care. Because we're cops. And if you think I'm going to sit here and let you do something illegal, you're fucking crazy. Yes, I'm going to turn you in. First, I'll probably kick the shit out of you, and then I'll turn you in. And if you want to tell your boys and you want to have a fucking fight, then we'll fight. Because this is a man's world. And I'm not going to let you sit there and do bullshit and sit here and accept it. No, fuck you. And no, I'm going to fucking rat you the fuck out. Because we're doing God's work. So, yeah. So when you carry yourself like that, it's different, right? It's just different.
this is what makes.
So you don't let people fuck with you as a cop. You don't take shit from other cops. You kind of, I'm not saying you got to be a dick, but when you're in uniform, you're like, there's a different air about you, right? Well, like my family, when they used to see me, my wife, she used to say, once that uniform's on, she's like, you are fucking very different. You have to be, because you look at things different, because everyone looks at you differently, right? I'm just Brian here. If I was out in my patrol car in full uniform and you guys saw him, you'd be like, oh, okay. He's more serious now, because it is serious. It's a professional career. And if you can't act professional and do the job professionally, which means having good morals, keeping your integrity, you got to have courage, right? Because if you can't go into a fucking gun call and be scared, well, you can be scared, but you still got to push through it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be accountable for your actions. If you fuck up, okay, I'm sorry. We've all messed up. Take your lumps. You got to have respect for others, and you have to be excellent. You have to have excellence. You know?
That
Yeah.
the Air Force.
So
core
I think
values.
with the Canton, they need some guys at Canton that are like I don't know, ball breakers that don't give a shit. And they come in there and they're just like, this is what the fuck we're doing. If you don't like it, get the fuck out. But we're not being crooked here. The shit's fucking done. The whole country knows about it. It's fucking over. You with me? If you're not with me, get the fuck out right now. And then I would look and see what I have left to work with.
Yeah, the problem is the chief is down with it, and that's why that hasn't happened. If you went in there tomorrow, if we elected you chief of Canton, I think in a couple of weeks we'd be clear. You'd probably lose, 7 or 8 guys, but the problem is she doesn't do that. She's one of them.
Yeah.
So,
Brian would take out the trash.
Clear the fucking house. Yeah. And if you have a problem with me, we'll step outside. We'll fucking handle it man to man. And then we'll come back in and we'll be boys again. Whatever you want to do. But again, you have to be willing to partake in that and be real. And unfortunately, a lot of the newer cops are, I don't want to say like soy boyish, but we're missing a lot of real men in this country nowadays. It seems like real men, like a guy who's messing with a woman. Who's going to step in and help her? A good man. Well, if there's no good men around, nobody helps the woman. To me, that's unacceptable. And that's not the way life is. Life is women are to be protected and helped. Anybody who's in need should be helped and protected. The cops protect people who can't protect themselves.
Right.
Like, I hated bullies. I
hate bullies more than anything.
Yeah. So, man, I used to have such fun with teenagers when I would get a call to their house and their parents would be like, yeah, he's bullying these kids. And I would talk to the kids real quick and they're crying, they're getting bullied. And I would mess that bully up. Oh, I put the fear of God in them. I do miss those days. Oh, I miss those days where you make those kids that we get a teenager who's 15, 16 and thinks he's hard. Yeah. And you show him that he's not, and he's crying his eyes out. Oh,
that's the best. You just turned him around, man.
Oh, I saved this one kid. I put his head through the wall in his living room, but I saved his life. I changed his life because we had this big fight and he was a hardcore gangbanger. And I put his head through the wall and he was like, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, all right, bring your boys. How many you got? He goes, I got like 20. I was like, all right, I got like 5,000. We'll meet back here at midnight. I'll bring SWAT and tanks. So you bring your 10 guys.
Yeah.
So he never met me. And then I go back to his house like 6 months later. I never forget a house. I never forget a face. I walk in, I tell my trainee, get ready to fight. This kid wants to fight. He likes to fight. I put my gloves on. I walk in the house. I'm like, where is this motherfucker? I'm going to tear his ass out. He's standing there. He walks up to me, starts crying, gives me a hug, says, you're not here for me today, sir. You're here for my sister. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, are you punking me? Like, what is going on? He goes, everything you said to me, sir, 6 months ago was 100% true. The gang turned on me. I'm in school now. I'm getting good grades. I'm making money. I got a job. I'm paying the bills for my mom. I'm going to go on and have a great life because you put my head through that fucking wall.
Wow.
Now, I didn't put his sister's head through the wall.
Right. But maybe you should have. You should rethink.
I never went back to that house again.
That's awesome.
And you know what? I pray to God every day that I changed him. I helped him change her. And they went on and had great lives. That's all I can hope for. Because I know I changed his. And I hope I changed hers. And you know what? To me, that's a win, man. If I could go out there every day and save a kid and change a life, help a mother get out of a domestic violence situation, or help a husband who's an alcoholic, or help a kid who's got an addiction problem, or get kids out of a abusive relationship or abusive house, man, those were great days. And I did a lot of those.
You're really awesome, man. You have put on such a show tonight to show people what this profession is. I know you've heard this because I've heard other hosts tell you this. So I know that you've heard this a lot. I've heard people on your own show that were guests tell you this.
He's the real deal.
He is.
Yeah.
You're the real deal.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat. You guys have been great with all the positive reinforcement for Bryan, our trooper, all of the mods. We love you guys. And Bryan, we're going to see you back on Cab again if you'll grace us with your presence. All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're all a team working together for one big goal.
Thank you. On behalf of Mr. Bryan, Bia, this is DJ saying peace out.
Bye.
One
Thank
love.
you.
Thank you,
See
everybody.
down the road.